Good evening. Welcome to another podcast. We're going to be switching gears a little bit for today. I'm going to be going forward because there's a lot of material as far as the um, life parables and teachings of Jesus. It's funny. I was about done with the with Jesus more than a prophet. I think I had like 10 or 11 chapters from it left, but with the just completing the messianic prophecies that the last 5 weeks that opened the door for a lot more talking points, which is good. I actually you don't want to when you're talking about Christ or really anything, but there's nothing more important than Christ. You want to have more talking points to share share the Bible and share the truth because we're all constantly learning. We want to learn as much as we can about Christ so we can know how to accurately and truthfully follow Him. So going forward, there's going to be a lot of material that we're still going to be covering. But for this week, and to talk about the subject of hatred, I also down the road um, want to do a little mini series, if you will, about lessons from Tree Hill. Anyone who has seen my podcast for any length of time knows how much of a fan I am of One Tree Hill. It's now my favorite show by far because it's the most realistic show that I've ever seen on TV about life. But yeah, so I'll do a mini series about that at some point. I'm thinking about June, maybe July. We'll see. We'll see how it all exactly plays out. Um, but uh, but yeah, so I know today we're gonna be doing a set like on hatred, and then diving more into the in depth as far as the messianic prophecies and what the Bible. Like the verses on them, diving into the verses part and not the list portion of these are the 301 prophecies. So that's where we're headed. Um, and now we'll get started on what we're talking about today. Now, as it pertains to hatred, anything, a concept before we go into the study, there's a key distinction. There's a key thing that we must keep in mind. If we know the Ten Commandments, and then everything, and we have that in mind. We keep the Ten Commandments in mind. What we learn and what we read in the Bible and see in life makes sense. It's clear to see who is legit good and who is legit evil. But the thing is, with that, you got to be watchful and use discernment because Satan is subtle. So people that look evil initially could end up being good, um, and those people who look good on the as far as um, the natural could actually end up being evil. It's just a matter of you have to get to know the people. Um, so uh, so yeah, the Ten Commandments are now keep in mind you can view the Ten Commandments as God's boundaries. It's like I'm the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. I already did this for you. Now you can do this for me. And it's like you shall have no other gods before me. You shall make unto you no great you shall not make any graven image. You shall not take the Lord's name in vain. You should remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Um, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. which is essentially don't lie. Thou shalt not kill, which in context is don't murder. Because if a person is walking into your house and they're not welcome and they're trying to cause harm, you have every right to murder them because they're in your house trying to cause harm because you're called to be good stewards over what God gave you. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Um, then it's then thou shalt not covet. Yeah, it's like it's so basically the top four are love the Lord your God with all your mind, heart, soul, and strength. 5 to 10 is loving your neighbor as yourself. So with that foundation, we've got like hatred is fueled by fear. Now, 1 John 4:18. Welcome back to my handy dandy Bible. Hi, Bible. But no, anyway. You just never know where Casey's going here. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect in love. Let's see. So yeah, the love of Christ is the ultimate act of warfare. He fights our battles for us when we trust in him, because there are a lot of things that we don't know what's going on. We don't, and like it would boggle our mind to know everything that's going on. But if we surrender to God, He will always give us the wisdom as to what to do and how to do it, to handle situations effectively. Um, and the stronger your love towards people is, the less room there is for fear. Now, because fear has torment. Torment essentially is ran by paranoia, which paranoia is a real thing. When you have trauma due to a bad experience, your natural response as a human being is fear that this can happen again. And there's an old phrase that I remember hearing when I was a kid: lightning does not strike the same place twice. And but now there was a cartoon which showed that it actually did happen, but that's cartoons. But the lesson of this is that things that happen to us, no matter how traumatic, usually do not happen again. Because, well, one, we as human beings are more alert as far as what could happen, and that it did happen. So that way we take the necessary precautions to make sure it doesn't. But but on the flip side, though, too, while we don't know what's going on with the traumatic experience, because there's always a perpetrator and a victim. We don't know what's going on with both sides. We don't. We only know what's going on our side. But if you are controlled by past traumas, you cannot effectively love a person. Trauma causes people to believe they have every right to hold on to unforgiveness towards people that they have traumatic experiences with. The Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgiveness strips the right for revenge. It also allows God the permission to heal trauma. We make it worse, but God heals. So whenever we try to take matters in our own hands, it always makes it worse. But God is the one that heals. Hatred is an extremely strong dislike or intense hostility towards another person or a group of people. Ongoing feeling of ill will. Now, keep in mind, I've said this before, and I probably will say it many times over again and again because it's a very important thing to remember. Unforgiveness that is not dealt with leads to resentment. Resentment not dealt with leads to bitterness. Bitterness that's not dealt with leads to hatred. Hatred that's not dealt with leads to murder. And now the cool thing about forgiveness is a regular act. It's a continual process that I've never really stopped to figure out what takes longer, the process of going from unforgiveness to resentment to bitterness to hatred to murder, or the process of forgiveness. It probably is quicker to go from unforgiveness to resentment to bitterness to hatred to murder because anything that is done that is not checked, that is not held in check, that does not have the boundaries, will escalate very quickly. But forgiveness is like when we give it to God, like yeah, it does take a while, but it's a process we've definitely got to walk on. It's like hold like um, continuing to hold resentment in the like or being bitter towards people because you want to use it as a tool for power in a later argument. Not a good idea because then you're not forgiving leads the person that wronged you to not be able to forgive themselves, and you're just as guilty for that as what you are for not forgiving. And so the process of forgiving others, you also must learn to forgive yourself as well. um and like the whole that whole process, like unforgiveness is like um gives us justification. If well, they wrong me, so I have the right to hate them. No, you don't. Not in God's eyes. And God's the ultimate God's the ultimate decider. And like Christ, if because I've talked about it 1,000 times probably. Well, not literally 1,000 times. I don't even have 1,000 podcasts. But but if you're going to be a follower of Christ, you have to learn how to forgive, and you have to be walking in forgiveness on a regular basis. It doesn't mean that you trust them. It just means that you're walking in forgiveness. Sometimes there are people that wrong you to such a degree that the best thing you can do is just not have anything to do with them. Your time and your presence is not is I mean does not have to be granted for everyone that you forgive. That's that's a luxury or a blessing that is earned. Um, and those are fine. Um, let's see, John 8:44. Okay, 44 is, you are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So yes, Satan. The Bible talks about that Satan is a father of lies, and when he walks in lies, when he manipulates with lies, he breeds hatred through that. First John 3:11 to 12. Okay, it is. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Not as Cain, who was of the wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore? Why did he slay him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. And now this is one of the kind of a sidebar. One of the things that I liked from the show One Tree Hill, which the first 3 seasons. And one of the many themes was Dan Scott could not stand his brother Keith, and it was like the whole foundation of that was kind of like leading up. I think there's is it dramatic irony that you know what's going on before the characters do. I remember hearing I think there's 4 different kinds of irony. I think that one's it. But yeah, so just by the way that he was treating his brother, even though his brother was trying to be good to him, um, was kind of showed the way that showed how this process laid out, because just like Dan in One Tree Hill was pretty evil early on, but then after he went to jail, after he spent his time in jail, he started turning his life around. He had points where he would where he was going back and forth on it. He showed signs of turning around, but was still fighting his flesh. But it really wasn't until his serving time that he really turned his life around. But but yeah, the whole story of that was just was showing that that Cain hated Cain hated Abel, and so his actions showed that the way that we turn things around from being evil to being good is submit ourselves therefore unto God, resist the devil, and he will flee from us. Now, this is a commonly misquoted scripture, because if you resist the devil in your own strength, if you're not submitted therefore unto God, you can resist the devil all you want. He ain't fleeing. And the thing is, if you're in because the Bible talks about we are in constant spiritual warfare. You get you can dodge all you want, but all it takes is one good hit and you're still down. So it's just one of those things, like submitting yourself therefore unto God is a whole lot. It keeps yourself from getting hurt as badly as you could, and that from choosing to from choosing to do good. Because you're going to even trying to do good, you're going to get people questioning your motive. He or she's not not trying to do good. He's like they're only about themselves. So it's like there's no way around getting hurt, whether you do good or whether you do evil. It's just are you going to are you getting hurt for the right reason, or getting hurt for fighting against God? And quite frankly, I'd rather get hurt being on the right side and fighting for God. Satan is malicious. Now we learned just like here. Job 2:7. Okay, Job is before Proverbs, so I gotta go back a little bit more. I just wanted to do that. That had nothing to do with the lesson. I just wanted to do that. Job 2:7. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. Yeah, Job was allowed, Satan was allowed to do anything to Job but kill him, and that's not reassuring when it comes to walking through life, because going through the battle, like going through the struggles of life, can be torture. But no, it's like, especially when, like, you deal with lots of people every day, and people that love you, people that hate you, people that seem like they love you but they really don't like you. Then you got people who seem like they can't stand you but they think the world of you. And so the whole process is like, I need a vacation. The melodramatic version of that, because Arnold Schwarzenegger's on this movie was the best on that. But yeah, Revelation 12:9, and 12:12, and 12:17. Okay, 12:9 says, and the great dragon Satan was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. This is verse 12. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, and the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. 17. And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So yeah, because Satan hates Satan hates everybody who's who's a follower of Christ. Well, he hates everyone in God's creation, but the reality of it is those people who are choosing to follow Christ are a threat to him. And actually, I'll tell you a quick story on this. There was one time I was riding my bike to Wichita State when I was living in Wichita, and of course, part of this was my stupidity, because I had a tendency when I was younger to ride my bike places and not lock my bike up. And yeah, you know where this is going. And after class, I looked where my bike was locked up, and or like not no sorry, I misspoke. I looked where I left my bike, and my bike was gone. And then I looked around, I could not find it. And then eventually, as I was frustrated about that, I ended up like, yeah, the best thing I could do is just, at this point, is just walk home. And on my way home, I laughed not because I thought it was funny, but because the Holy Spirit reminded me is like it's because Satan views you as a threat that he has to take he has to have your bicycle stolen, and I'm like, and so I'm like, thank God that I'm looked at as like as enough of a threat that he has to have my bike stolen, because when you're laughing, when you're going through stuff, and you laugh, Satan does not like it because it steals his power. He wants to steal your joy, and if he can do that, it makes it a whole lot easier to take you down. And and so yeah, like I mean, having said all that, with Satan will do whatever he can to to followers of Christ because you're more of a threat, but but don't take that personal. That's just part of life. It's that you're doing right in the eyes of God. Everyone who lives godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. There's no exception to the rule there. um, and he won't attack. Satan will not attack if you're not a threat. Fear fuels selfishness, envy. No, back up. Fear, selfishness, envy, and pride fuel hatred. Now we'll go to 2 Timothy 3. Go back a little bit, I think. Oh, here a minute. Second Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. This know also, that in the last days perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Let's see. And where am I? But oh yeah, okay, here we go. And as far as breaking hatred, you got it. First thing is being impartial. Now, Acts 10:34 to 35, and this is probably one of my very favorite qualities of God, because he can show his favor for everyone while being impartial. And that is something that that's an amazing quality to have. um, Actually, I'll try to explain it the best that I can after I'm done reading this, because he's even shown me through my life how to go about doing that. Then Peter opened his mouth and says, "Of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that fears him and works righteousness is accepted with him." Now, being impartial is important when it comes to stopping hatred, because whenever a person is partial, the person that someone is partial to loves it. I've never known a situation where anybody doesn't like, just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and get a drink because I'm going to. going down a goofy path with that one. But I've never known of a situation in which a person that is being partial towards has a problem with that. I've never seen anybody say, you're being partial towards me. You need to take the time to to consider their side. I've never heard a person do that. Now, does this happen? It probably does. I've just never experienced it. But when when you are being when you're being impartial, it squashes problems and there's no room for hatred. But when there is partiality, when there is favoritism, it's gonna create hatred on one side. Not probably not only towards the person doing the partiality, but also the person that the person is being partial, being partial towards. So it's our job, which the number one way of being impartial is hearing, considering, and weighing both sides and making a good decision accordingly that's best for both sides. Now this is hard, but it is worth walking out. But let's see here, and then number 2, don't seek revenge. Now, Romans 12:17-19, talks about how revenge is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord, and don't repay evil with evil, but repay evil with good. And and revenge only begets more revenge, because what happens a lot of times is, particularly when you have a person that's impartial, or that's partial towards someone. If you've got someone that has dealt with situations that deals with them fairly, it's probably not going to be met with more revenge. But if you've got a person who is you're being partial towards, they're going to find ways to escalate the problem because of the fact that they can go to the person that's being impartial towards, or being partial towards them, and the person that retaliates is going to get in trouble, while that person being favored is going to get away with stuff. So that is so if you want to break hatred, don't be impartial. Sorry, you got to be impartial. Hear and weigh both sides. Don't seek revenge, and which is again is don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you can know that which is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Third is having a victor mentality, not a victim mentality. When you walk out conflict towards someone, holding on to your trauma and continues to fuel the hatred. So anytime that you walk in a victim mentality, you feel like you're entitled, and you walk out life from the entitled mentality, it's gonna fuel hatred. But when you walk from the, okay, you know what, this happened, I can't change it, forgive them, okay, let's move forward from here, that'll squash the any loophole for hatred, because you cannot leave Satan a loophole. He will run through that like there's no tomorrow, until you either work through that, or you give up. And quite frankly, giving up's not an option. At least it shouldn't be. Let's see. And then Galatians 5:22-23. I will close on this, because there's because one thing I learned years ago and it stuck with me is in regards to because in regards to the fruits of the spirit. Now, fruits of the spirit are fruit for a reason, not because they're delicious. Don't I mean like well, fruits are delicious except for tomatoes, which I still don't believe are fruits. But anyway, I know in the Webster's dictionary, and I know most places consider it a fruit, but this is a thing I will probably argue until the day I die. Yeah, that's a stumbling block. Okay, I admitted it. But fruits have to be like grown. It's like you can only work through them through um, by facing things that are like that going against the fruit that you're wanting to develop. I'll explain in a minute. But the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, meekness, temperance, and against such there is no law. Now, with love, the way you develop love is by dealing with people, places, and things and circumstances that cause you to want to either walk in hate, walk in fear, um, walk in unforgiveness, anything like that. So the joy, let's see here. Joy is experiencing great gladness or delight. The joy of the Lord is my strength. You delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. But now the thing about joy is, if you want joy to be um, grown in your life, you have to deal with people, places, things, circumstances that come against that. Because you have to choose. What is it? Larnell Harris song. I choose joy. I'll never let the problems keep me down. Because I know the Lord will work things out for my good. I choose joy. Yeah, I love that song back in the day. I might be dating myself even more. He sings it better than me, but hey, that's every singer. That's why I'm not a singer. But no, then we got peace. Now, walking out the peace that passes all understanding in every area of our life. We have to. In order to grow peace, we have to deal with people, places, things, circumstances that try to rob us of our peace. Um, let's see. Let's see. Peace, long suffering. That's in the term long suffering. You're like, you not. I mean, you're fighting your desire for revenge. You're fighting your flesh. You're fighting your. If you're hungry, like you haven't had anything to eat, and you know that the that dinner is a half hour away or it got delayed because mom and dad are running late. Okay, long suffering. Um, Gentleness. People, places, things, or circumstances rob you of. I mean, they want to try to keep you from being gentle, and so you want to be harsh. You want to be mean. You being. I mean, choosing to be gentle is like. I mean, it's a decision. Then you got goodness. We're not talking. Oh my goodness. No, mom used to say that's oh my, that's too close to oh my God, and so we don't want to do that. Forgive me, Lord, for taking your name in vain. But no, goodness is walking in integrity, upholding high morals, and living the high moral standards, virtuous and honesty. Now, like anything that goes against that, like whenever you run into circumstances that try to fight against you, like getting that, the way you develop is by choosing to be choosing to be good when everything else in front of you tells you to not be good. Faithfulness. Now this is a huge one because there's a lot of different things that fight against faithfulness, as far as family, your friends, your loved ones, your husband or wife, like rumors, you do whatever you can to walk towards being faithful and being loyal to them and being good to them, even if they're not good to you. That's a hard one. Let's see. Meekness is humility, humbleness, lowliness, and modesty, and so anything that comes against that, you deserve is already not meek. Um, because the only thing that we deserve is death, and that's because we all sin on a daily basis, and God doesn't give us what we deserve. Thank God. So yeah, it's walking in humility. That's like that. Anything that God blesses us with, it's because of His goodness, because of His. He is a benevolent God, and we. We're His servants, so like we are. And even His friends. So whatever He chooses to give us is because out of the goodness of His heart, not because we deserve it. Then temperance is exercising restraint. Now there are a lot of different things that come against our exercising restraint, but and it goes along with the what I've said on many occasions about you can't miss something you don't have, but once you have something, the more you have it, the more you want it. And so we have to, it's easier to exercise restraint when we don't have it. But exercising restraint is, okay, we have this, but how does God how does God want me to handle this? And learning to obey Him. And like all these things work to help counter hatred, and when we choose to follow Christ, the closer we walk with Christ, we will cast out fear, we will cast out hatred, we will cast out all those wicked thoughts. But yeah, that is it from here. Actually, surprised it went a little bit longer than I thought it would. But you know what? It's all good. It's a story of the Bible, like the Bible truth. None of us can get enough of. But that's about it. God bless. Have a good week, and I will probably be on Friday because my schedules are changing a little bit at my new job. But but yeah, you guys be blessed.